Hi folks, it's a little bit after 4 o'clock. We got around 7 people signed on right now. We'll get started. I'm Pete Inglesby, the Farmington Town Supervisor. To my left is Dan Delpore. He's the Code and Building Department Head. To my right is our Canandaigua Farmington Construction Inspector, one of 2, Matt Herman. And Robin McDonald over here with the mask on is our department head for the Canandaigua Farmington Water and Sewer District. And one of our town engineers, Dave Herman, is also here to my right. And Dave will talk a little bit here shortly on the pressures. We've used Mrb Group for over 40 years in the town for our engineers, whether it's water, sewer, roadways, building like our new highway garage, or renovating the town hall here a few years ago. And so Dave has been working with us on a lot of water projects, and I asked him to, a couple weeks ago, about probably 3 weeks ago now, to put out the water pressure testing devices and give everybody an idea of the water pressure coming into the area, into the subdivision. He just handed me a report, not only of Auburn Meadows, but Haven, that as soon as I get a chance to read, we'll post that up on our website, and we'll also post it on the town Facebook page here. Give me a couple of days to go through and digest everything. So at this time, I'd like to ask Dave Herman to talk a little bit about the water pressure testing that we did.
Hi, everybody. So when the supervisor asked us to bring some hydrant pressure monitors out, first thing we looked at was where we were hearing some complaints within the subdivision, and also just making sure that we had a good spread across the subdivision. So we brought out these units, and I'll just briefly describe what they do. Is we put them on the hydrants, and then we turn the hydrants on so that I can read the water pressure. And it takes about every 5 seconds or so, it takes a minimum pressure, a maximum pressure, and an average pressure within those 5 seconds, and it logs that for as long as the unit's out there. So we put the units out there on September 29th, and then we took them off about a week later on October 7th. And what we found from those pressures is about what we expected from our hydraulic modeling that we do for the town. In this report here, the average pressure, you can actually see up there that we had one of the monitors on Amber Drive, right around 6049 Amber, one at the intersection with Clover Trail, and then one of them down on Omega. The pressures for the 2 monitors on Amber Drive were very, very similar. They both came back with an average pressure of around 70 pounds. And the one on Omega we're expecting that one to be a little lower because of the elevation, and that one came in at an average of 60. And everyone was, one of the big concerns that people are having is drops in pressure. People are experiencing what seem like significant drops in pressure. And what we found is that there is nothing on the water main side of that equation that shows any instantaneous drops in pressure. So, like the supervisor said, we'll be able to have that report available so you guys can see the charts. But from what we found, there is no concern on the town side with regards to the pressure.
And at the same time period, Dave also had 2 other locations that he put meters in.
Yeah. So in addition to the 3 that we had in the subdivision, we installed one further to the south that is in a different hydraulic pressure zone. That one was down on Mobile Road in Canandaigua. And then we installed one to the north, which was at the entrance to Mertensia Park, because that's in a separate pressure zone too. And we wanted to not only take a look at what's going on in the subdivision, but what's going on to the water coming into your zone, and what's going on to the water leaving that zone in terms of pressures. And, very similar to what what I just explained with the Auburn Meadows subdivision, is everything that we saw on the charts from these monitors was exactly what we expected in terms of the pressure ranges and there's really nothing of concern on our end in terms of the pressures.
All right, thanks, Dave. For those that are able to unmute or whatever, we will take questions here when we get down through the agenda, so stick with us, please. I have Matt here. He's one of our 2 construction inspectors for the Water and Sewer Department, and I just wanted him to kind of discuss the water line inspection process from when it first goes in the ground to when homes start hooking up to it.
Right, so good afternoon, everyone. Matt Heilman, like Peter said, one of 2 construction inspectors in town. Basically a brief overview of the entire process, not only the inspection process of what we inspect and look for on our end, is the contractor will start with installation of the main, all the fittings, all of the valves, all of the hydrants. Once that's complete, they back up and install all the services, which basically entail the tap on the main and the saddle. They run the service to just beyond the utility easement, which is just past our right-of-way. Once all the services are in, the contractor then fills the main, pressure tests the main, which we witness and the project engineer witnesses to make sure there's no leaks. They then will flush the main, disinfect the main, do a final flush of the main, and take the health samples that are required by the New York State Department of Health. Once the health samples pass and the water is considered potable, then as the lots are sold, the services are run to the houses, which we also inspect.
Thanks, Matt. So overall, on the agenda there, you know, what can be causes of low water pressure? When we have a water main break, as soon as Robbins gets notified, normally from 911 center will call him or one of the other employees, and we have to send somebody out and confirm we have a water break. Also, it could be a faulty pressure reduction valve, which is inside the home. I did notice one of the comments on Facebook was Kate and Laura, approximately a week ago, that they did have a plumber in and they found out that their pressure regulator valve was bad. So that's another option. There's maintenance of water heaters and obviously water hydrant flushing. So I'd like Robin just to talk a little bit about how we flush the systems in the whole district, because we have water customers starting at North Road in Canandaigua, going north all the way to the Pumpkin Hook area that borders Wayne County. We also supply water, a main water line, to the village and town of Manchester. That would, you know, bulk water sales to them. Robin, can you talk a little bit about the flushing?
Yeah, we're required by the health department to flush a certain percentage of hydrants every year. So that's ongoing. Obviously, we don't do it in the winter. You know, we check, you know, everything's tested weekly. And on a water main break, not only is 911 involved, but if it's a big enough break, the water treatment plant in Canandaigua calls me, because they can see it on their gauges at the treatment plant that it's lowered. So, you know, we're pretty on top of the breaks. And the pressure reducing valves in your house, they do go bad. Some of the houses in there, you know, are 10, 12 years old. It's a good thing to check them.
Thanks, Robin.
Yeah.
And one of the other things that I thought of was, at any time you think your usage, your water usage is higher than previous quarters, you know, it could be a silent toilet leak or a drip in a faucet inside or outside of the house. and we can, if you call the water department, we can review your usage over the last 4 quarters, and if it does show your usage is up and you're not watering your lawn, or you're not filling your swimming pool, we do offer where we would come into your home when you're there and look for leaks, and we can also make sure that the water meter is reading correctly. So that's just another service. It's a little bit off topic here, but while we're talking about that, I wanted to bring that up. Dan, can you talk a little bit about your previous experience that, I think it started over in Hickory Rise subdivision, and when we had the same problem with these instant-on water heaters?
Sure. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Dan. I'm the code officer. We had similar discussions with the residents over in Hickory Rise, which is also a Ryan Homes subdivision. And the biggest thing that we found were the instant hot water heaters weren't being maintained. And if you look in your manuals that come with your hot water tanks, or tanklet systems, I should say, it shows on here a usage treatment guideline of how this is supposed to be taken care of. And what happens is when you don't maintain them, you get a calcium buildup inside the tankless unit that actually then takes the sediment through the water lines, and then you find it in your sinks and your washing machine and or showers. So what they're showing is, because of the water type here is the moderate hard level, it says once a year it should be flushed. But that's only if you have a softener or a scale shield before the unit. Now, most of these Ryan homes do not have that. So if you don't want to install a softener before your unit, you have the option to flush these more frequently. And we would recommend every 3 months, 6 months at the maximum to have these flushed. Unlike a regular tank, where the sediment would just go to the bottom of the tank and not go down through the water lines, without the tank in these systems, it just pushes all this sediment through the pipes, and that's what we're seeing a lot of the pebbles and what you might think is coming from the water lines out in the road, but it's really not. It's coming from your hot water heater. Again, these have to be flushed. There is a maintenance item along with this. I know Ryan Homes sometimes doesn't explain all the maintenance that goes into these hot water tanks. So getting your manual out and actually reading, I'm displaying one on the screen. It's the most common one that Ryan Homes uses, and we'll be more than willing to share this. If requested, the supervisor can provide that information to you as well. But this is what we saw, was this was causing a lot of the issues, and after we informed the residents over in Hickory Rise, a lot of their issues have subsided. So that could be one of the issues. It also could be affecting your water pressure, because if there's a bunch of buildup in the water tank, it would lower your pressures to all your faucets.
Anybody else got anything they want to bring up?
Yeah, just on those systems, you want to read closely on that, because it's not as simple as just opening the valve and let water run through it.
Nope.
I mean, there's a solution that needs to be run through them and flushed, and, it's not just a 5-minute job.
And there's screens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I know there's companies out there that do the flushing, but Robin's correct. It's not just opening a valve and just letting the water flow out. You actually have to pump the water through the unit. There's 2 valves that have to be opened, and you have to pump it like with a vinegar mixture, and it has to be done for, I think, a minimum of 20 minutes to actually clean these units correctly. So just keep that in mind. There is a lot of literature online about them, and you can buy kits on Amazon to clean them if you want to do them yourself. Or there is companies out there that when they service furnaces and other things in your home that you have maintenance on, they can service those as well.
Robin, we kind of already talked about the hydrant flushing, but one thing you touched on that people may not have picked up on, but explain the water sampling process that we take samples and run them to a lab, and that gets reported to the Department of Health. How often, how many sites?
We have to do 3 a week, and we have different sites throughout the town. And they check for bacteria and stuff like that. That's set by the Department of Health, and, so, like I said, we do this all the time. And if there's anything wrong with the water, we're required to sample both sides of where the sample was taken and go through all of that process again. And if it comes back again, then it's a boil water advisory and all of that. So, I mean, the water has to be pretty clean stuff, so.
And even when we have a water main break, your guys flush on both
Correct.
ends from where they repair.
Yep.
To get any sediment out.
Yeah, we flow a lot of water through, when we fix a pipe, to get anything that's in there out. And when the system's flowing, the chlorine that's put in Canandaigua, it's up to where it's supposed to be. I mean, we run about between a 0.5 and a 0.9. Anything too much over a 1 is a little high. A regular pool is, if you're using chlorine, it's about a 7.5. And that's, I mean, you can drink it if you want.
No, thanks. All right, thanks. The last thing on the agenda, I just wanted to bring to your attention is I forget how many years now we've had in the design process, and then recently, in the last 2 years, that design of a new water tower at Brickyard Road in Canandaigua, and bringing a 16-inch water main from the water tower north to Town Line Road. That process has been at the Department of Health and DEC, and we finally got our final approvals. So you will see us go out to bid probably the end of November here, and construction start probably right after the first of the year. It's an estimated $9 million project. We were able to get $3.4 billion WIA grant. We funded $1 million up front for all the design and engineering that has been going on for the last 3 years with the water fund balance. And then we'll end up bonding the remainder, we're hoping only for 20 or 25 years. The interest rates are still down. I really don't want to go 30 years or 30 plus years on a bond. That current tower is over 55 years old. It has a 1 million gallon capacity. The new tower will have a 2 million gallon capacity. I think, anybody else got anything else to bring up?
Did you want to talk about the larger line coming out of that tower?
Well, yeah, right now we feed Farmington with a couple of 12-inch lines, and then another line going down County Road 28 to the village and town of Manchester starts out at 24-inch, I believe, and goes down to 20 inches, and then goes down to like 18 inches when you get towards the village of Manchester. But the main water coming into Farmington now either comes down County Road 8 or Brickyard Road and down 332 and 8-inch and 12-inch water lines. So the 16-inch water main will bring more water to Farmington, and it'll be more reliable. We have had a lot of water main breaks on the line at County Road 8, and that'll be in the design process to replace some of that in 2022, 2023 with the future construction and replacement of that water line. Again, the water lines go back to the 60s, as well as some of the sewer lines in the older parts of town. And this time, we'll try and open it up for questions. Hopefully, just unmute or send us we'll be able to see if you send us a chat flag or hi sign there, we can try and unmute you from this end.
Hi, guys. This is Dwayne. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can, Dwayne. Yes, thank you.
Okay. Thanks so much for putting this on. Appreciate it. You know, the instant hot water flushing is pretty intense. I've been looking into it myself. We noticed the scaling almost immediately. I was taking off the screens in the faucets almost within a week of moving in 2018. However, recently, within the last 6 weeks, I want to say our pressure reduction valve has been hissing if we open more than 2 valves in the house. Any ideas what might be causing that? If we have 1 valve going, it's fine. Open up 2 faucets, the reduction valve in the basement starts hissing.
I think it's because you're pulling enough water through that reduction valve, but I would also check on the reduction valve. It might be a problem with the valve that is doing that. Has it done it right from the beginning, or is it just doing it now?
I would say within the last 5 weeks, I've noticed it. So it has not been consistent. It's just recently it's been happening.
Yeah, I would say pressure regulator in your house.
Have a plumber check it.
Yeah, I mean, some of these houses, the plumbers, they don't use the best materials. And I've seen them go bad within like a week just because of manufacturer's problem. But, you know, they have decent ones out there. They're not terribly expensive. I see a lot of the new plastic outside. It kind of looks like a little rocket ship. The brass ones, the all brass ones are much better. And it's kind of, you get what you pay for on them. You know, if you spend a little money on it. And it's only like, I think they might be at the most $150.
Okay. Thanks for the question, Dwayne.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Hi, this is Carrie. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coordinating this. We really appreciate, you know, some of the insight here. As you can imagine, it's been difficult to narrow down exactly what's been occurring. In our case, we didn't build, we bought a recently built, so we may not have gotten all the information, you know, that some of the builders might have gotten in the beginning, but we have gone through the flushing and, you know, there is some temporary relief, but, you know, maybe a more frequent flush will help in that instance. I did want to ask if you could confirm the type of water that we should be focused on. Is it hard, or did you say that it was moderately hard, or what was the term?
Yeah, we purchase our water from the city of Canandaigua, and they treat the water there. So what they produce is what we have, but I don't.
And they don't treat for hardness, so.
They don't treat for.
Whatever comes out of the lake is.
Yeah, they don't.
After it's treated and chlorinated and all of that.
Yeah, so that I'm just being told by Robin that they don't treat for hardness. So it's a moderately hard water.
Moderately hard, okay.
Yeah, and depending on the tank that you have, it could be anywhere from moderate hard to hard, which all indicate a more frequent flushing of that tank.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else?
Nothing in chat either.
This is Aruna Badlu. I moved in on Clover Trail at the corner of Clover Trail and Estate Drive in January of 2018. And I think you guys came out because we noticed an issue right away. And we were trying to figure out if something was wrong with the lines. I think you flushed it. We tried everything. And then I think Dan had told me what he found at Hickory Rise, or maybe you realized it at that point for our neighborhood too, and we did install a water softener system, and we still flush the system. And I have to say, we haven't really had any issues between the new system that was put in and continuously flushing it like every 6 months. The only place that I see sediments coming through is in the basement, really. So that seems to be working.
Okay, that's good for everybody to hear. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Those instant hot water heaters are very, they fire at very high temperatures to make, it's gotta go from cold water to 120 degree water in just seconds because you're running so much water through it. So by doing that, the calcium builds up very fast.
Right. All right, we've been on about a half an hour. Is anybody else that has a question or likes to share some information?
Hi, thank you for doing this. Chip Dolce, we live at 6009 Amber Drive. Of course, the big meeting I wanted to go to, I was late from another meeting, but my one question is, this will be on your YouTube, I noticed, so that we can just get the information we might have missed.
Yes, it will be.
Awesome. And it sounds like the end solution for those of us with sediment is to bag the tankless water heater. I mean, that sounds like, because it's superheating the water. And so a softener plus the combination of that and a tank system would at least close to remedy the problem.
Yeah, we really can't recommend anything, legally, but if you look at all the comments, I think we're up over almost 80 comments on that particular section at Auburn Meadows, you'll see where some people just flush their hot water heater more frequently. Some have added a filter into the line prior to the water heater, and others have gone with a water softener system. Some went with a water softener system and a filter. So I think you have some options there.
Yeah, the filter actually has to go after the hot water heater.
Oh,
Because that's what causes.
that's right.
Causes the sediment.
Yeah, I misspoke. The filter would go after the water heater to catch the sediment.
And a regular hot water heater, the reason you don't see it in a regular hot water heater is because it settles to the bottom of the hot water heater instead of it's on the walls, instantly in there, and it kicks it out. But, nobody flushes a regular hot water heater, and that's supposed to be flushed at least once a year. So.
I do. Every 2 years or so I flush it,
But
because we've had it replaced before.
I don't think the town is in any position to tell you to get rid of a hot water tankless to go to a tank system. We're just giving you options. There is issues, obviously, with a tank system as well. You still have to maintain it, and you lose some of your energy efficiency. All the Ryan homes are Energy Star rated. If you go away from a tankless system and put in a tank system, you lose your energy rating for that house. So just keep that in mind too when reviewing everything that you have going on.
Definitely. I'd rather lose that than my plumbing. It's kind of but the idea that after on a tankless system, I'm not sure, and again, I know you can't give advice on this, but on the tankless system, those people who still maintained it, they put a filter in after on the hot water line, or is that what people share?
Correct.
Gotcha. Well, we appreciate you even taking the time to do this, and it means a lot and helps provide answers to something that we just couldn't figure out.
Yep, no, thank you, Chip, for calling in. Anybody else? Going once, going twice? Okay, we've been on just about a half an hour. I want to thank everybody for signing in and listening, and Mike.
You might have one more.
Okay, we might have one more.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say thank you and goodbye. That was it.
Comment is appreciated. Is there one more unmuted there? Somebody want to say something?
They're just saying clapping. I think they're all.
Okay. So thank you, and by tomorrow, we'll have this put up, on our Farmington YouTube site. We've been doing this for a little over 2 months now for town board meeting, planning board meeting, and zoning board meetings, and obviously a special meeting like this. So, thank you everybody for participating, and we're gonna sign off.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.